speech from a manual called Humorously Speaking. The speech objectives are to keep them laughing by preparing a speech that opens with a self-deprecating joke, string together 2 or 3 related jokes in the speech body, close the speech with a humorous story. Mike has been a member since October 2006, lives in Waterford, enjoys reading, playing guitars, playing with his vinyl trains, and I know you won't believe this, but Civil War history. He also likes to make people laugh and hopes that the speech will do the trick. Please welcome Mike Goldman. The speech title is The Misfits.
Thank you all for that warm welcome. I truly don't deserve it. Then again, I have glaucoma and I don't deserve that either. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow members and guests, I admit it. I'm a misfit. Not really much on joining things. Although I love Birmingham Toastmasters, it wasn't easy for me to join. I'm forever guided by the immortal words of Groucho Marx, who said, "I can never belong to any club that would have me as a member." I haven't been much on joining other things either. For those of you who know me or who have heard me rant in my speeches, you know how I lean politically. However, in keeping with being a misfit, I've never actually joined any political party or seriously gotten behind any candidate. I tend to have a pox on both your houses attitude when it comes to our beloved 2-party system. Although I feel very strongly in voting, because it gives you the right to complain afterwards, I'm still somewhat sympathetic to Will Rogers' theory that voting only encourages them. But seriously, how did we get into this mess? Massive debt, dysfunctional government, a tax code that's an abomination, a citizenry that distrusts its own institutions and is now engaging in class warfare. I would submit that's lowering the bar, and in part, we have ourselves to blame. Behavior that would have been considered abhorrent 20 or 30 years ago is somehow accepted today. I believe you get the level of civilization that you're willing to tolerate, whether you expect a lot or a little from your fellow citizens, you'll get it. We certainly have lowered the bar, and it applies to politics for sure. But here again, I think we need to look in the mirror to really understand one of the reasons why. Would we really elect someone who promised to bring nothing in the way of goodies back to his home state or district? We can complain about politicians all we want, but they're just being politicians. They throw money around because it gets them reelected, and it seems to come as manna from heaven. Let me tell you a heavenly story to prove my point. A carpenter, a preacher, and a politician all died at the same time. They were waiting in front of the pearly gates when St. Peter approached them and told them that their entry into heaven would be delayed because the gates were broken. But God had asked him to request bids to get them fixed. He first asked the carpenter if he could fix them. The carpenter said, "Well, of course, I'm a carpenter. Yeah, I can fix them. I'll do it for $10. $5 for labor, $5 for material." He then asked the preacher, who said he could fix them, but he wanted a $30 donation to the poor box in his parish back on earth. Lastly, he asked the politician, who immediately assured him that he could get it done, and it would cost God only $110. When St. Peter asked, "Why so much?" the politician said, "Well, there's 50 for you, there's 50 for me, and with the extra 10, I'll get the carpenter to do it." I don't know about some of you, but I feel like our nation is the Titanic. All of us can be thought of as breaking our backs in the boiler room, trying to keep the ship going, when those in charge have steered us into a $16 trillion iceberg. We're dead in the water, sinking by the bow. I make my way up to the top deck and I think, safety! Only to discover that the last lifeboat has sailed away with leaders from both of our political parties in it. The water is rising, and the last thing I hear before I meet my maker is a Democrat screaming to Republicans saying, "You told them we only broke a propeller blade." To which the Republicans respond, What are you blaming us for? You were the ones we just stopped to take on more ice for the bar. Given the situation that I find myself in, do I really care who's to blame? No! I just want the ship to be right. How do we do that? Well, just as the Titanic was too slow to respond to its rudder, we've lost ours. What is our rudder? I would submit our founding documents. Imagine a document about 17 pages long that has run a country of over 300 million fairly well. Those are the rules we should all follow. They were designed to navigate us through troubled waters and get us safely to our destination. By forgetting what those documents were intended to do, by losing our rudder, we, as well as our elected officials, have rewarded friends, punished enemies, expanded the role of government, and by so doing, have steered us towards that financial iceberg. Folks, I'm a misfit. I admit it. I've offered up evidence in my defense. Make of it what you will. Let me close this rant with one more piece of evidence in support of my lack of enthusiasm for our current system. A politician by the name of Strange had died. His widow was at the stonecutter. She wanted a suitable testament carved into his headstone. The stonecutter asked her if she had any suggestions. She came up with, "Here lies Strange, an honest man and a politician." The stonecutter said he felt that inscription could be confusing to people walking by who might think there were actually 3 people buried there, and that would not be a fitting tribute to her husband. The widow agreed that that made sense. So she asked if he could come up with something. He thought about it for a moment, and he said, "Here lies a politician who was also an honest man." The widow said, "How is that a testament to my husband?" The stonecutter said, "Because anytime anyone reads that, the first thing they'll say is, 'Now that's strange.'"